In 1983, the Swiss watch industry was collapsing. Quartz watches from Japan had destroyed sales. Hundreds of Swiss companies were bankrupt. One man, Nicholas Hayek, a Lebanese-born consultant from Zurich, proposed merging the two largest dying Swiss watch conglomerates, ASUAG and SSIH, into a single entity. The banks laughed. He bought it himself for a fraction of its value. He renamed it the Swatch Group. Today, that corporation controls 19 watch brands and posted revenues exceeding 7.5 billion Swiss francs. When you walk into a watch store and see Omega, Longines, Tissot, Hamilton, Rado, and Breguet on separate displays, you believe you are choosing between competitors. You are choosing between product lines inside a single corporation headquartered in Biel, Switzerland. Swiss watchmaking in the early 1980s stood on the edge of extinction. Exports had collapsed from 84 million pieces in 1974 to barely 30 million by 1983. Factories sat idle. The two giants, ASUAG and SSIH, were drowning in debt, their assets scattered, their brands directionless. Banks feared the complete failure of a national industry, but saw no credible way out. Into this void stepped Nicholas Hayek, a Lebanese-born consultant with a reputation for hard-nosed restructuring. Hayek did not just propose a plan, he put his own fortune on the line. Court filings and board minutes confirmed that he pledged 50 million Swiss francs of personal and family assets to guarantee the rescue, a sum that dwarfed the token commitments from the banks themselves. On June 30, 1983, Hayek signed the merger contract that created the Société de Microtechnique et d'Horlogerie, or SMH. This new holding absorbed every subsidiary, movement factory, and brand license from both failing groups. The legal text, archived in the Swiss Federal Archives, spelled out a dual-share structure that kept control firmly in Hayek's hands, even as banks retained a 30% preferential voting bloc. The new headquarters was moved to Biel-Bienne, the historical center of Swiss watchmaking, consolidating the group's operations and symbolizing a break from the old, fragmented order. Hayek's personal risk, and the legal consolidation that followed, did more than rescue jobs or brands. It created a financial foundation strong enough to weather future shocks. The stability of SMH, later renamed the Swatch Group, allowed for aggressive reinvestment, acquisition, and the vertical integration that would eventually grant the corporation control over not just brands, but the very components and movements that power the global industry. The stage was set for a new kind of dominance, one built not on artisanal mystique, but on corporate structure, capital, and supply chain command. Walk into any upscale watch boutique in Switzerland, London, or Tokyo, and the first impression is a dazzling spectrum of choice. Omega, Longines, Tissot, Hamilton, Rado, each presented as a rival, each with its own history, its own price tag, its own carefully crafted identity. The display case is arranged to suggest a battleground of heritage and innovation, where a buyer's decision is a matter of taste and discernment. But behind the polished glass, the reality is far simpler. All these brands, and many more, report to a single corporate parent. The Swatch Group owns 19 watch marks, spanning the full arc from children's flick-flack and entry-level Swatch to the high-gloss world of Breguet and Blancpain. This is not mere portfolio management. The Swatch Group orchestrates its brands with a level of precision that rivals the watches themselves. Tissot, Hamilton, Certina, and Mido are stacked across the mid-range, each positioned to capture a different slice of the market, yet all feeding profits into the same quarterly report. Longines and Rado sit higher, their advertising campaigns and boutique designs tailored to foster a sense of exclusivity, but the corporate address remains unchanged: Biel-Bienne, Switzerland. The illusion of competition is reinforced by price architecture. A buyer moving from 400 Swiss francs Tissot to 3,000 Swiss francs Longines is not escaping one brand for another, he is ascending a ladder built by the same hand. The Swatch Group's strategy ensures that, at nearly every price point, the consumer is funneled back into the same corporate ecosystem. 19 brands, one owner, and a display case that conceals more than it reveals. For the collector, the real question is not which brand to choose, but whether the choice itself is genuine. Inside the polished cases of brands that line the Swatch Group's shelves, a single movement has become the silent engine of Swiss watchmaking, the ETA 2824-2. This automatic caliber, introduced in the 1970s and still in production today, beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour, 4 Hz, driven by 25 synthetic ruby jewels, and offers a power reserve of up to 45 hours. Its architecture is robust, modular, and engineered for mass assembly. Industry data points to annual production of roughly 1.5 million blanks, the vast majority destined for Swatch Group brands, with a tightly controlled fraction reserved for external clients. The 2824-2 is not a luxury oddity. It is the mechanical backbone for watches across the price spectrum. A Tissot PRX at 400 Swiss francs, a Hamilton Jazzmaster at 2,000 Swiss francs, a Longines Conquest at 3,000 Swiss francs. Even some Omega models, before their most recent upgrades, relied on this same movement architecture. The display case may offer a ladder of prestige, but inside, the mechanical reality remains stubbornly uniform. The illusion of choice is built on a common platform, differentiated only by exterior design, dial, and branding. This shared DNA is not accidental. In August 2002, Swatch Group announced that ETA would begin restricting supply of its movements to outside brands, citing the need to protect its own portfolio. The Swiss Competition Commission, COMCO, intervened and launched a multi-year investigation into the impact on independent watchmakers. The final ruling in 2008 allowed ETA to phase out most external sales, but mandated that at least 10% of annual production remain available to non-Swatch clients until 2015. This quota, strictly enforced, only underscored the group's control over the mechanical heart of the industry. For collectors and buyers, the reality is stark. The difference between a mid-tier and a premium Swiss watch is often little more than a shared movement, dressed in different clothes. The movement's secret is not a matter of brand, but of access, and access is dictated by a single corporate parent. Omega stands at the summit of the Swatch Group's portfolio, not just as a luxury label, but as the engine driving both revenue and reputation. In 2023, Omega alone accounted for about 2.5 billion Swiss francs in sales, 1/3 of the group's total. This financial weight gives Omega the freedom to play on a global stage, yet its dominance is built as much on marketing as on mechanical distinction. Since securing the role of official timekeeper at the Sydney Olympics in 2000, Omega has spent over 150 million Swiss francs a year on Olympic sponsorships, James Bond licensing, and relentless advertising. The Olympic contract guarantees the brand's presence at every Summer Games, reinforcing a narrative of precision and sporting heroism. Bond, meanwhile, transformed the Seamaster from a tool watch into a pop culture icon, with each film release triggering a spike in sales and a new wave of limited editions. Beneath the surface, Omega's claim to technical innovation rests heavily on the exclusive license to George Daniels's coaxial escapement, acquired in 1999. The coaxial promises longer service intervals and reduced friction, a talking point in every boutique, a line in every brochure. By 2023, over 80% of Omega's mechanical watches featured this technology, a detail that sets them apart in marketing copy, if not always in the workshop. Yet, for all the talk of innovation and heritage, Omega's movements share a lineage with those found in much less expensive Swatch Group brands. The real distinction is manufactured in the boardroom and the branding suite, not in the assembly hall. The display case illusion persists, polished steel and celebrity endorsements on the outside, a movement architecture familiar to anyone who has handled a Tissot or a Longines on the inside. For the consumer, the price premium is not just for precision, but for the privilege of buying into a story, one carefully engineered, funded, and repeated at scale. Deep inside the Swatch Group's empire, control runs far beyond movements and brand names. The real choke points lie upstream, where the essential parts of Swiss watches are quietly monopolized. Niverox Phare, a Swatch Group subsidiary, supplies about 90% of all Swiss-made hairsprings, the delicate coils that regulate timekeeping. Commodore, another group holding, produces roughly 80% of the sapphire crystals that shield watch dials. Renata, wholly owned as well, delivers around 70% of the batteries used in Swiss watches. These three companies alone underpin the industry's mechanical and quartz output, making it nearly impossible for rivals to source critical components elsewhere. Financial filings show that ETA, Niverox Phare, and Renata together contribute close to 1 billion Swiss francs in annual profit for the group. The illusion of competition fades when the same upstream gatekeepers supply nearly every brand in the showcase. What looks like a marketplace is, in reality, a system designed to funnel value back to a single corporate center. Every rung on the Swatch Group's price ladder is carefully calibrated. The journey begins with a 30 Swiss franc flick-flack or a 100 Swiss franc swatch, colorful, accessible, and designed to capture first-time buyers. As tastes mature, the next step is a 400 Swiss franc Tissot, then a 2,000 Swiss franc Longines, and finally, for the few who ascend, a 10,000 Swiss franc Blancpain or a 100,000 Swiss franc Breguet. Yet, no matter how far up the ladder a customer climbs, the money flows back to the same headquarters in BLBN. This is not a byproduct of organic brand competition, but the result of a deliberate strategy, tiered branding, shared engineering, and a relentless marketing engine. Swatch Group spends about 650 million Swiss francs a year on global advertising and sponsorships, ensuring that every consumer at every stage of life remains within the same corporate funnel. The price architecture trap is set. What appears as choice is, in reality, a system engineered to capture a lifetime of spending. Today, the display case still promises choice, but the vertical monopoly behind it shapes what is truly offered. Price architecture and branding mask a movement secret, one corporation's control. In an industry built on illusion, real power hides beneath the dial. Think like an auditor, not just a collector.